Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rum on the Couch video number 66. Dave here from Manchester Rum Festival, and for this episode I want to focus on something a little bit different. A couple of weeks ago I had an email from the guys at Drinks Lab, and they said, look Dave, we know you love rum. I want to send you something a little bit different, something we've been working on, and we think you'll be quite intrigued. And to be fair, I was, as I would be for anything rum related. So they sent me a little sample, and I'm going to explain what it is a little bit later. But it's bringing two categories together in whiskey and rum. And it got me thinking, it's like, you know what? This could be a really cool episode to do for you guys. But also, what else have I got that sort of brings two categories together? Obviously, the most common one is whiskey, predominantly from my point of view, Scotland and Ireland. I looked on my shelves and I have a bottle of the Balvenie Caribbean Cask 14, as well as, and one of the very first I have it at the time, Caribbean Cask finish from the Irishman, in Walsh Whisky Distillery in County Carrow. So I was like, you know what, let's do something a little bit different. So I'm going to experience what the Irishman and the Balvenie are all about. I'm sure, especially with the Balvenie Caribbean, it was one of the very first to use a rum cask as a finish. Quite a staple to a lot of whiskey bars as well, to really introduce what the flavour profiles of rum can offer to that whiskey style. And then obviously finish off with the Drinks Lab and what they's well, basically are all about. They're going to be a little bit different to the first two, I'm sure. So, I'm going to start off with the Caribbean Cask of the Balvenie. It's 43% ABV as well. Now, as you'd expect, I had to have a quick look just to make sure of what the whiskey side of everything is. So, we know it's 14, Caribbean Cask 14 year. It's matured in traditional oak whiskey cask for 14 years and then finished in casks that previously held Caribbean rum. The malt master at Balvenie, David C. Stewart, he filled American oak casks with his own blend of select West Indian rum. Now, going off the West Indian rum style, the first name that came to my mind was obviously the West Indian Rum Distillery, who were very notorious for doing these kind of things. So it wouldn't surprise me too much if it was from Barbados. But like I say, it's 43% ABV, so this is going to be a good start to my Saturday. Got my Glencairn glass, which feels even more appropriate now I'm drinking some whiskey. I'm loving the bottle as well. It does offer some good transparency. It's got tasty notes at the front. It does say many years maturing in traditional whiskey. Third maturation of Caribbean rum casks. It says it's going to enhance the Balvenie's vanilla notes. So bring it on. Okay, let's give it a good smell. And to be fair, the first thing you do pick up is a very Caribbean banana nose to it. A little bit of salty caramel as well. There's elements of corn, there's elements of the wheat. There's also elements. What's that? There's something there. It's kind of like a chamois leather style, in a good way. And I want to say, it's quite a light, sort of subtle fragrance or something. It's like chamomile sort of profile. I forgot how good this can smell, to be fair. I do love my whiskey, but I don't drink as much of it as I used to compared to rum. So it's quite nice to go back to something, especially when it's got a rum influence as well. Okay, let's give it a go. Very sharp. Right mid-tongue. First thing I got. Citrus, lemon peel. Oh, wow. Very, very thin, quite oily. Light, fragrant to a point as well. A little bit chewy at the end, actually. Again, second sip, it's kind of replacing everything. Still got the sharpness, but you get a little bit more of the rum style coming through. It's not too, you're not going to get the molasses. You're not going to pick up a sort of rich, deep profiles that you'd expect from a... Although, to be fair, it does have a slightly more Barbadian profile, if this is where it originates from. Light, thin, slightly oil profile. You've got that kind of, there's a pot still element towards it for sure. You've got a bit of round robustness. But, I mean, obviously, to be fair, I have other Balvenies on my shelf. So I may have to remind myself of what the Balvenie signature style is like. It has been a while, I have to admit. But you could struggle to a point of picking out certain rum characteristics. It's a lot lighter than I remember. A lot more intense as well. I mean, it is 43%, but it's not heading into overproof gunpowder style, even cask strength. So it's not a bad start, to be fair. Lacks a bit of something that I seem to remember. But let's see what happens, because the next one is going to be the Irishman. Now, a bit of a story behind this. I actually used to represent these guys here in the UK several years ago through one of my clients. And I really fell in love with what Walsh Whisky, based in County Carrow, were doing. Their Royal Oak distillery was brand spanking new at the time. It's very fortunate to go over, do a distillery tour, really understand their history and heritage. And I've actually been back since as well, just off my own accord, just to sort of say hello. Anyway, so obviously I can't remember when it was, but a handful of years ago, I got a press release saying that they've just released, or were releasing, sorry, a Caribbean cask finish, which, as you'd imagine, bing, really want to know what this is all about. Turns out they've actually used St. Lucian Chairman's Reserve rum casks as their finish. And obviously, from my point of view, I'm thinking, that sounds fantastic. So, I made sure, because at the time I had Marigot Bay, just opened as well, my bar in Manchester. And I was the very first one, because I actually bought it direct. I bought 2 bottles. The one I've got now, one on my collector's shelf. I bought 2 bottles direct for the distillery, because it wasn't available in the UK. It was just available at the distillery at the time. It's now available in the UK, but I was very fortunate to be essentially the very first person ever in the UK itself to have a bottle. So really cool. This is 46% ABV. And again, I just had to kind of refresh myself. Excuse me. So, it's the Irishman Founders Reserve Cask Series. This is their second release. Limited edition finished in rum casks for the tiny tropical Caribbean island of St. Lucia itself. It's a rare vatting of single pot still and single malt whiskies, finished for 6 months in Chairman's Reserve rum casks. So a little bit more on the idea of where the rum casks actually originate from. It's not just the West Indies. Got me spare Glencairn glass. Like I say, it's 46, so naturally I'd expect a bit more of an oomph compared to the Balvenie. I have to admit, it has been a while since I've had this one as well, so. Ooh, a lot more seasoned, a lot more tropical sort of fruits, a bit more stones, a bit more flesh, a bit more like plum, raisin, that kind of thing. Definitely candied orange, definitely a bit of a, what else is that? Actually a bit of chocolate, cocoa nib, first thing. Okay, so 46% ABV. Oh, I forgot about this. Light, fragrant, not what you'd expect. A lot going on the side of your mouth compared to that mid tongue that Balvenie offered. And it's still going. It's actually quite boom. Wouldn't say floral aromatic. It's definitely got that alcoholic whiskey feel to it, but there's a rum style surrounding it. That's good. I forgot how good that is. It's a nice malting finish to it as well. It's like there's very cedar on the it's like licking the inside of a barrel stave itself. You get a beautiful dryness. I'm not a massive fan of dry profiles, but when there's flavour when there's flavour coming off it, I love it. You're really sort of appreciating the flavour profiles that the barrels are really bringing to it. Obviously, my affinity towards Chairman's Reserve is obviously as well known, but I was still a bit dubious because the first time it's ever really happened, so quite liking that. Quite liking that a lot. All right, so on to the reason why I'm doing this video, and that is the Guys at Drinks Lab. So I just want to quickly, I don't want to miss anything out because I think this is quite well, it's going to cause some controversy perhaps. So, where are we here? So the Drinks Lab team have decided to release their own trials of spirits. They make it for everybody else, but they have their own ideas as well. The first to launch is Strange Bedfellows Experiments 001 Batch 001. Aptly named, of his spirit brings together 2 different spirits inside the one bottle. It all began with curiosity of whether their secret society distillers could create a bespoke dark rum to perfect the bedfellow for a single cask of single malt Scotch whisky. The cask, which was number 652, was born in the Highlands, and a single malt Scotch whisky which lay inside as a light, creamy notes of orange zest and fudge. The distillers developed 18 different rums to match with their whisky, eventually selecting a dark ruby rum with a base of raspberries and cinnamon. The 2 spirits collided inside the small hand-filled bottling line on the outskirts of Glasgow, and the inaugural experiment was complete. The team now wait with bated breath on the thoughts. So, let's give it a go. It hasn't got an ABV, has it? 42% ABV. So, definitely a go hard or go home sort of scenario today. Bit wary on the time. Always want to keep these under 15 minutes for good old Instagram, but, well, that's very different to the other 2. So I suppose this isn't finished. This is just bringing 2 spirits together like an infinity bottle. First thing I'm getting is ginger. Stem ginger at that. Cookies. Like proper Subway style dark chocolate chip cookies. I do get the raspberries. I don't know if that was just sort of put in my head from reading the tasting notes. Probably shouldn't have done that, but I'm not a massive fan of raspberries, so I do pick up, I suppose, that a bit more. There's something else there. I want to say it's sort of like burnt honey. In a good way, again, as well. It's sort of, I was going to say molasses, but it's a lot thinner. Maybe something, it could be sort of honey molasses style. Sort of bringing a lot of different flavours together. Okay, I'm intrigued about this. Let's give it a go. Very light, very thin, quite velvety. There's the whiskey. Oh, there's the rum. That's different. Definitely get the raspberry and cocoa. Really, really comes through nicely. That's a nice combination, that. You get orange, an orange peel as well. You get, it reduces quite quickly. It's not a long-lasting, lingering profile. But that's not a bad shout. Quite short, but it works. Yeah. You get whiskey straight away when the rum comes through, and a bit more whiskey, and a bit more rum. It does disappear again quite quickly, but it's still, both are there. I think, yeah. That is a strange bedfellow. All right, I'm intrigued about that. I was quite glad to wait a little bit to give it a go. Fantastic. All right, yeah, that does work for me a little bit. I'm intrigued about anything else they play around with rum, to be fair. Obviously, speaking of rum, I know we've been talking about more whiskey related sort of rum styles, but obviously you may have seen the last couple of weeks, a lot of the awards have come out with International Spirit Challenge. We know, obviously, I know for a fact that Singlish Distillers and Foursquare from Barbados have done very well with gold winning medals. We saw the guys at the World Rum Awards with Pusses, with their Pusses Spice, which we've done a video on probably about 10, 12 videos ago. They did very, very well picking up awards. What did they pick up? Best Contemporary and Botanical Gin, I think it was, which was quite I think it's the first time we've seen that one happen. But either way, really good to sort of see. So do keep an eye out for these award-winning rums and the bottlings within. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I will leave you to it. I've got 20 seconds to go until our 15-minute limit. God, I can chat. But if you're intrigued about any of these, do give them a look out. And I will see you all again very, very soon. Enjoy.